But a lot of them say that, well, you know, physics just says that this is impossible what happened. But what happened is pretty obvious. The force of this jet hitting the Pentagon at about 500 miles an hour, when something hits a concrete structure like that, you know, this belief that the wings would go in is just the actual jet going in, but the wings folded back like this. So that's why when you look at the hole, you say, well, it's not big enough. Well, that's why. The wings were not strong enough to withstand the impact. They folded back, and that's why the jet went in, and that's why the hole that you see isn't as large as you might imagine in another structure. Basically, the only...
We wanted to understand what did the damage in the case of the Pentagon. Was it the plane? Was it the specific parts of the plane? Was it the fuel? Inside the building, we see how the front of the plane gets cut up, but as soon as the liquid of the fuel enters here, it starts doing damage to the column where it hits squarely.
The jet fuel caused the worst damage.
There's a lot of talk about why is the hole so small, and really when you think about it and you see how the plane is cut up, you will realize that it is not necessarily the plane that does the damage, but the fuel and the mass of the liquid.
Their research was not funded by the government. It was an independent academic project. But when
look at a computer-generated animation that was broadcast on the National Geographic television program Seconds from Disaster, in which they dealt with the attack on the Pentagon on September 11th. In this computer-generated animation, they show that the wings broke off before the plane entered the first ring. Question: if the plane's wings broke off, then why didn't we see any wing parts in the photographs that we examined earlier? Further computer-generated animation, it clearly shows the plane almost completely disintegrating as it passes through the first ring. Question: how could it have continued along its path and pierced another 7.5 feet of steel-reinforced concrete, piercing the second and third rings of the Pentagon, and leave this hole? You can't have it both ways.
What's holding up this 350,000-pound plane? This plane can travel 550 miles per hour. What propels it? What's ripping this building apart? And these buildings? And the hole in this building? That's right. We believe the hole in the Pentagon was punched out by the air from the cabin of Flight 77.